Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to today's episode. My name is Shelby, and I'm with Red Dragon America, an organization dedicated to promoting Welsh heritage, culture, and language in America, as well as a strong supporter of Welsh independence. Today's podcast is a special one, as we'll be interviewing Tom, someone who is a strong up-and-coming opinion on the IndyWales landscape, and asking him some of the toughest questions we've received from supporters and adversaries regarding Welsh independence. We hope his unique American perspectives can bring a fresh take to the independence conversation and move the needle for the pro-Indy movement. We would love to hear your thoughts on this, so please comment below with any questions you have, and we'll be sure to include them next time. All right, let's get to it. Hi, Tom. Thanks again for taking the time for this interview. And to start us off, can you tell me a little bit about where your passion for Wales comes from?
Yes, howdy Shelby, how's it going? So, my passion for Wales comes from my Welsh heritage. It comes from my visits to Wales, the land, and my many years I've spent studying Welsh history, Welsh culture. I'm learning the Welsh language. Basically, simply put, I love everything about Wales. A lot of it, like I said, it comes from heritage, and also just the unique history, the unique story of Wales and its culture and its language and how it survived despite everything and everyone, how it survived to the present day. I think it's a treasure, and I think not only is it a treasure, but it has a lot to teach the rest of the world.
Thanks, Tom. I can tell this is an issue that you're very passionate about, and that these issues hit close to home for you just as they would for someone who's a native to Wales. And one of the reasons that we were looking forward to introducing you to our audience is because of your American perspective. So speaking of, many would say that this is a downside and not understand why an American is so interested in Welsh affairs or what they could possibly bring to the table when it comes to advancing Welsh independence. So as someone who isn't a native to Wales, what is your response to this?
Well, I don't think being native to a place makes you an expert on it, and I don't think being not native to a place doesn't make you an expert. I mean, here in the United States, some of the greatest people that founded the United States, that have led the United States, have been people who weren't born in the United States. I think the same is true of Britain. I think many great Welsh leaders all throughout history were not ones that were born in Wales. I don't think you have to be. I think being born in a place, it gives you experience with that place, but it doesn't necessarily give you expertise. Okay, so where I come in is I present an American perspective. Okay, this is true. It is looking, on the inside from the outside, but I can offer an American perspective based on American history, what American independence from the UK has done for America and for the United States, and led it to become what it is today, which is the world's superpower, the world's strongest economy, the bastion of freedom, the bastion of liberty, and a source of hope for the rest of the world. I think there's lessons, just like there's lessons in Wales' survival through thousands of years of first Roman and then later English domination. I think there's a lesson there. There's a lesson from America's story too. The Welsh American perspective that I offer combines these two, and it provides hope for the future. And it provides a glimpse of a different sort of future that we can have.
So I understand that the Welsh language is something that you've been studying for a few years now, and it's something that you care deeply about. So talk to me a little bit about why you believe it's important that people in Wales learn to speak the native language and keep it thriving. And then also if you can talk to me some more about why your unique American perspective offers something different when it comes to the independence conversation.
And we've seen a lot of improvements both in Scotland and Wales ever since devolution. A lot of detractors say that there has been. There's been both economic process, cultural progress. We've seen, the Welsh language, for example, is doing the best of all the Celtic languages. If you care about Wales, if you care about its heritage, if you care about its history, you should definitely care about its language. I don't think English people would want to see the English language disappear and be replaced with another language. I don't think French people would want the same, nor would Russians or Japanese or Chinese or Pakistanis or anyone else. I don't think they'd want to see their native language wither away and die. So I don't think we want to see that in Wales. And, unfortunately for its detractors, the devolved government has made tremendous strides in stopping that from happening. in increasing the growth and survival and strength of the Welsh language. Now, when it comes to the American perspective and our founding fathers, I'll get back to that initial question you asked. They saw the smaller the government is, the more localized the government is, the closer to the people it is, the better. Okay, right now, there's very little accountability for Wales and for the people who rule over it. There's very few accountability for government because most of the things that manage Wales and that affect Wales and its people are dealt with in the faraway Parliament in London. It's much harder to go to London and hold these people accountable than it is if you're having to deal with local councilors, local governors, local, like in the United States, we have a state. Each state has its own state government that has much more wide-ranging powers than even currently Wales or Scotland has. I definitely think at the very bare minimum, Wales or Scotland being nations, not states, not provinces, not regions, being nations, should have more powers than a U.S. state. And currently they
I want to move into some of the questions that we get from people who are on the opposite side and not pro the independence movement. So one thing we hear a lot is that Wales is too small of a country. It has too much of a financial deficit to be able to survive once becoming independent. So curious to know how you think that Wales could combat this once they do gain independence, and just what are your overall thoughts on this argument?
Yes, I do. I do think so. I think because it's pushed in the people's faces so much that Wales is too poor and too small and all these things and whatnot. There's this sort of there's a lack of national confidence there, where people are led to believe that Wales is too small and too poor and too this and too that to be independent, which it absolutely isn't true. If you look all across Europe, there's nations, small, independent nations, smaller than Wales, that are successful, not only are successful and survived independence, but they're thriving. I mean, from Ireland to Iceland, from Luxembourg to Latvia, there's all sorts of examples that show us just how great Wales is.
In the last polls taken on independence in Wales, it seems that the majority of people in Wales actually aren't pro-independence. And I mean, there is a larger portion, that portion is growing, of the people in Wales who do want independence. But what do you think is the answer in order to convince the other side, bring them to see the importance of independence and why this would be something that's good for Wales? And also, do you think that it needs much convincing? Do you think the arguments are compelling enough? What would you say to that?
Well, I would say presenting these facts, these relatively little known, but not so insignificant facts, that the precedents of these other smaller nations that are economically thriving all across Europe and whatnot, present these facts, just make sure that present these facts as much as possible. And don't dissolve into culture wars. I think the problem with the currently existing political parties like Plaid Cymru is they are too partisan. I think we need to see much more, and that's why I love Yes Cymru, is Yes Cymru takes a non-partisan approach to these things. If independence is going to happen, it's going to require a majority of Welsh voters to vote on it, which is going to mean it's going to require people from both sides of the political spectrum. We need to show people on both sides of the political spectrum that independence is a better alternative for the things they want. People on one side of the spectrum might want different things than on another. To some person, reducing the carbon footprint and pressuring for social justice might be more important, let's say, fiscal responsibility and economic conservatism. However, both sides of those things I just named, all of those can be solved better and greater by an independent Wales. That's the real point that we need to get across, is no matter if you're left-wing or right-wing, the things that are most important to you, all of them can be better solved. These problems can be better solved if Wales as a country is able to manage itself for itself, by itself. It's only common sense that you're never, this sort of current system of governance, which I compare it to in terms of governance, it's like riding a bicycle with training wheels, where you might be safe, it might to have to continue in this within the UK, and it might be safe, might be stable, but you're never going to run a marathon. You're never going to go biking up mountains. You're never going to truly experience all the wondrous things that a country can do if we're just riding up and down the block, being guided by parents in riding a bicycle with training wheels, which is what I would compare the current situation to. So I would say we need to show just how great Wales can be. Wales can be great. Right now it's good. Wales can be great. And I think we need to show the people just how.
Well, Tom, this episode is coming to a close, but what final words do you have for our audience?
If you want Wales to be great, stay with disunity is the enemy. Disunity has always been our enemy. Disunity is our enemy now. Disunity will be our enemy tomorrow. We have to stay on the united front. If you want independence, I don't care what side of the fence you are, whether you're conservative or liberals, you're socialist, capitalist, whatever vision for a future Wales is the past. As long as you believe that vision will be best brought into life by independent Wales, you need to come together. This is Yes Cymru's message in a nutshell. So if we can bring Yes Cymru, if Yes Cymru can start exerting some of its potent political influence to bring these parties together, bring especially these Welsh parties. Plaid Cymru and Gulen are focused on Welsh independence. They're Welsh parties. They're not Welsh branches of British parties like Welsh Labour and the Welsh Conservatives, which are basically Welsh branches of British parties of England.
Again, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. We hope to have many more discussions with Tom where we can get his unique opinions on the independence movement, the Welsh language, and much more. Please leave any of your comments or questions down below, anything that you would like us to include or address in future episodes, and we hope to have you listen in again.